game of catch, and we've been reading the story over the last couple of days and looking at it in different ways. Today we're going to have a shared inquiry discussion around the text. But before we begin, I want to review our shared inquiry guidelines. So we are very familiar with 1 to 3, but I like to focus on the last 3 of the guidelines. You need to remember that during our shared inquiry discussion, you have to support your ideas with evidence from the text. You may have a really great idea, but you need to make sure that your idea is grounded in text to be valid for our discussion. Another important thing is you need to make sure that you're listening to other participants and responding to them directly. So remember, this discussion is about you all and your ideas, not mine. So as a leader, only expect me to ask questions, okay? And I just want to remind you that during this discussion, it's not so much what you're saying, but it's also about how well you listen, because the more you listen, the more well thought out your answers will be. Okay? So, I am going to demonstrate or show you the focus question for the day, and I'd like you all to have a pencil at hand, ready to write. Okay? Good. So our focus question for today is, according to the story, does Skull fall from the tree on purpose? So take a few minutes to record your answers on your Build Your Answer sheet. Please make sure that you support your answer with at least 2 text details. Again, make sure that your answer is text-based. Take about another 30 seconds. Thumbs up if you need 30 seconds more. Okay. Val. I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so, well, I think that like he didn't fall for it on purpose because like if you look at the passage, it says on page I think it's 41. 34. 42, I think. Yeah, it says on page 43. When we actually don't. Wait. Yeah. Where it says sorry. Yeah, when it says 44, it says, I want scrolls scream that he fell. Two lower branches broke his rustling and crackling fall, but he landed on his back to eat them, and they still with a scared look on his face and his eyes pinched. That shows that he was trying to say something, and like he like fell. He didn't plan it out, but like he fell on his back, and he didn't like plan it happen because he was trying to say, I wanted you to say that, I wanted to like kind of like kind of left it out.
I disagree with you, Joe, because I think that he did fall off the tree on purpose because on page 44 it said that Mom threatened what's her name? Mom threatened Skull, and you could tell that he was reaching, like if you were threatening someone that they were probably reaching out and doing something. And then later on it said when he falls it says I'm sorry Skull, Mom said, I didn't mean to make you fall. So that shows you that Mom, he was the person who made Skull fall on purpose.
Go ahead, Tina.
I'd like to add on to your answer, Daniel. In my opinion, when Skull, also on page 44, Mount threatened Skull. Mount threatened to pull the branches in which Skull was sitting on, making Skull fall. When he falls, he totally regrets doing so. Yeah, I agree with you see here.
Wait, hold on. Say that last part again.
Once Skull falls, Monk regrets pulling those branches.
Hold on. You said that Monk regrets pulling those branches. Where in the text do you see evidence that Monk is regretting pulling the branches?
On page 44, these guys are sorry that Skull fell from the tree and said, I'm sorry Skull, I didn't mean to make you fall, meaning that he made him fall and then Monk made him fall and now he's sorry for it.
So do we think that this is regret? Is this showing regret, or is this more about him just simply apologizing? Does anyone have a different idea about that?
I disagree with you, Stina. Now, I actually think it's regret because, like, if he says, "I'm sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to make you fall," that's not like apologizing. That's more like regret because you're regretting making me fall. You're not like well, you're kind of doing both.
Well, you're not doing both.
I agree with.
It's not really. You have to say, I'm sorry, Skull. Like I didn't mean to pull those branches and make you fall. Like I regret pulling those branches. He says I'm sorry, not like that he regrets it. And Daniel, I actually disagree with you because if you think about it, why would Monk threaten him and then Skull just go into it? It's like saying someone threatens to hurt you and you just go straight for it like you want him to hurt you.
I agree with you, Daniel, and I disagree with you, Joel, because on page 44 in the second paragraph it says that Monk's going down through the leaves crying that honestly he hadn't even touched him. The crazy guy just let go. So it's basically saying that he didn't really touch him, so that means that Skull let go from the branches because where it says that he reached up and threatened to shake the cradle of slight branches where Skull was sitting, he didn't touch the branches yet. He was reaching towards it.
I agree with you, Paris.
I
agree with you, Paris, because like I kind of agree, I kind of disagree. Because if Monk, the one, yeah, because if he would have, I think that Skull fell. I didn't think that he got that Monk made him fall because it says now you shut up or you'll be sorry. Monk said breathing hard as he reached up and threatened to shake the crowd of slight branches and where Skull was sitting. He could have shook it and he could have not. It's made. I believe I agree with you both ways. Yeah, I disagree.
So wait, are you saying it was just a threat, but that he didn't actually do it? Okay.
I actually don't think that he regret it. Because regret means wish you hadn't done something. It doesn't really say that he didn't wish he did it. It said I'm sorry, Skull. I'm sorry, Skull Monk said. I didn't mean to make you fall. He may not have meant it, but that doesn't mean he regrets doing it because he kept annoying them. So.
I agree with Armani. Going back to the question, it said that did Skull fall off the tree on purpose? Well, I don't think Skull did on purpose, but then again, I don't really think it's Monk's fault. Skull didn't do it on purpose, but it was kind of his fault. I don't think he knew that though, because in page 41. It said, it's in page 41, near the end, it said, very bony, Monk said, just up the tree. I guess he doesn't want to catch. Skull went up the tree through the fat, light gray branches until they grew slender and bright and gave under him. He found a place for several separate branches and knit to make a dangerous chair. That part about the dangerous chair, it shows that I think Skull might not have done it on purpose, but I think the only reason he went on that dangerous chair is because maybe it gave him a good view of it. And since the branches were supple, later on in the story he fell because maybe the branches just broke because of his weight.
So that's a really good point that you just made, Mohammed. So why do you think Skull chooses to sit at the top of the tree when he knows that the chair is dangerous? And this question is open to. Let's go under your chair. Okay, no, it's okay. You can let it in. As a matter of fact, I'm going to unplug it. Okay, back to your question. So why do you think Skull decides to sit on this dangerous chair when in fact he knows it's dangerous?
I think that he did it because
Shoot, I haven't heard from you.
Well, I think that Skull just went up the tree because he just wanted to just get a good view while Monk and Buddy were just playing catch for a while. So he just for the 5 minutes they were playing, so he just went up the tree to inside to right.
I actually disagree. I think that
I partially agree with you, Jude, because I think that you know how they said I think it's on page 41. It says, I got an idea, said Glennie. Why don't Monk and I catch for 5 minutes more, and then you can borrow one of our gloves? And then after that, it's like it's like a long time, and then Skull might want some attention. So he went up the tree and he tried to make sure that he could get a good view of Monk and Glennie, probably so that he could like annoy them to get some attention from them.
I agree with John.
Follow-up question. What kind of attention do you think he was looking for, John, based on the text?
Well, based on the text, it says that he was alone in the shade under the tree. So I think that he just wanted them to like pay attention to him because I don't think they realized how he was feeling. So I think he just wanted some way to like get them to pay attention to him.
Well, I agree with John because I also think that he wanted to get attention too. Because like I think that he wanted to get a great view of Glenn and Monk and Glenn and Monk because I mean like so then like they could see him actually fall. And also I think that he fell on purpose because right here it's kind of like what Paris said. It says right here that like it says Monk's going down through the leaves, crying honestly that he hadn't even touched them because he hadn't. And also in the first paragraph it says that he threatened. He didn't touch Go, but he threatened him.
Let's remember that we need to allow for the natural pauses, right? Remember how we said earlier that it's more about listening because our ideas will be heard, right? So let's make sure that we're pausing and listening and thinking before we're so quick to respond.
Okay, John, I agree with you guys because on page 42, like John said, he wanted attention. So in the second paragraph, it says, I found a wonderful seat up here, says Stowe loudly, if I don't fall out. Uncle Glennie didn't look up or comment. He began jouncing gently in his chair branches and singing yo-ho, heave-ho in an exaggerated way. So he was like sort of exaggerating to get attention, plus he was like trying to point out the fact that there's a chance that he could fall out in order for like them to pay more attention to him. But
I disagree with you, Paris, because personally, I think he did it because he was getting kind of angry. Because, as it said, it's not wrong. Well, I don't remember. Monk said 1 more minute left with the bread, and then several minutes later, and then he climbed up the tree, and then Skull climbed up the tree. So I think Skull was just so annoyed at them, so he went up and decided to annoy them, and he went up there so they would be able to catch him. I thought that Skull kind of wanted like to.
Okay.
So, Ian, I kind of agree with you and kind of disagree because I don't think Skull is actually annoyed because they had been catching for a few Monk, Buddy, and Skull. They had been catching for a few moments, and then Monk. I do think that he kind of cheated Skull on the deal, but Skull had no reason to be like really annoyed. I mean, like he might be cheated, but annoyed.
What do you mean by cheated?
Like when Monk said that he and the Glennie would catch the 5 minutes more, but then Monk catch the Glennie
word patterns. Well, Skull, like, he might feel a bit irritated, but like, I don't think this would lead up to what happened later with Skull falling out of the tree. I think like Skull falling out of the tree was the result of his own actions, of his own actions of annoying and then panicking when Monk climbed up the tree after him. Quoting from page 43. At the end of page 43, his face was furious and foolish. He kept telling Skull, shut up, shut up, shut up, while the other's exuberant and panicky voice poured down on his head. So this shows that Skull is panicking, and then as Jake said earlier on, Monk did not shake the cradle of Skull branches. He threatened he might have reached out, but he didn't. So then Skull fell because of Monk shaking his branch, threatening to shake his branches, and causing Skull to panic and fall.
It seems an accident.
So no, I'm saying that Skull's own actions led to the fall.
So you're saying that in a way he'd rather let go and fall on his own than
No. Not that he was panicking.
That's why
He was panicking. So then like, and bringing up the fact that the cradle of branches is really light and thin. Well, he was panicking.
Are you trying to actually, I'd like to add on to your point because it says on page 43, the last paragraph, it says, Monk was scrambling up through the branches, awkward in his haste, being snagged by twigs. His face was furious and foolish. And so that can tell you that he looked pretty scary. And well, as you know, Monk is older than Skull. Just kind of said it before.
How do you know that?
We don't usually use or.
So then we're speculating the age of the characters, right?
Well, anyway, his face was furious and foolish, so you could tell that he looked pretty angry, and you could, if someone's like coming towards you or they're threatening you, you should be pretty scared. So that's why he panicked and fell.
Well,
I disagree with you because
Well, I agree with you, Daniel, because I think he was just acting out the panicking voice. I actually agree with Skull when he said on page 44, I'm sorry, Skull, I meant you to do it. Every time he said I meant you to do that, he was actually telling the truth. So he planned out this whole thing in his head from the beginning when he started to be annoying. And every time he kept on being annoying,
So you're saying that he.
every time he kept on being annoying, Monk would get annoyed and and that's why he climbed up the tree so Monk could follow him and fall.
So are you saying that Skull? Okay, sorry. Are you saying that Skull fell by himself, or Monk made him?
He fell because he like played the whole thing.
So are you saying that Skull wanted to fall?
What about the part?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
What about
Wait, hold on. It seems like Hermione has a page that she wants to reference.
Okay. I think it's on page 41. It says, Will stood up and watched the wall slap back and forth for several minutes more. And then he turned and pulled himself up to the front of the thing. And that's why
the fast bumping down over his shoulder and went into the game on the other side of the street.
So that makes me think that they were doing that on purpose. I think that's what he was doing.
But he was doing it on purpose, not let go high, so that's why it's slow, like Jake said, climb up the tree and he climbed the tree.
So are you just to clarify, are you saying that this was more about getting revenge?
Not exactly.
Or is it about something else?
Getting attention.
I think
More about getting attention than like actually doing it, like by accident, like falling out of the chair. I actually have to comment on that because he also knew that it was a dangerous chair too, because in the test it said, I believe it was on page, yeah, it was, no, it was, where it says,
This is it, what's on 42?
actually, no, yeah, it is on 42. So, like, it says right here, it says that he found a wonderful seat up here, and like, it was kind of like the picture before, yeah, 41. And then it says, he found a place where several supple branches were knit to make a dangerous chair. So that kind of states that he knew that the chair was, not sturdy enough supples and.
So I kind of agree with you and kind of not. I agree with you that it was all for attention because they're kind of leaving him out. But I'm not sure that specific detail showed that he knew the dangerous chair because this is from third person, so it's someone else saying that it was a dangerous chair. That doesn't prove that he knew it was a dangerous chair. But a part that does show he knew it was a dangerous chair, he talks about how if I don't fall out, and the narrator, whoever was saying this, also talks about he was bouncing gently in his chair, knowing that this chair might crack and it's dangerous. That's why he's bouncing gently. And I agree with Vincent that it was mainly his own actions that caused him to fall. First, him bouncing gently, knowing that the branch could easily crack, and also that, and I do think he fell on purpose because if you go to page 44, after he fell, in the third paragraph, he was forcing a species of smile, but usually someone wouldn't smile when they just got hurt or they fell from like a tree. Justin?
Okay, I partly agree with you. Yeah, I think he actually might have wanted it to happen, but I don't think he actually that bold just wanted to fall out. Like for the question, I don't actually think either of them. For the answer, yes, it is I think you're partly right, but for the focus question, I think that neither of them wanted it on purpose. It was a complete accident.
Wait, what makes you say that?
Well, Al's mouth blank but says he hadn't touched him. That makes me think he might have not done it or might have not been aware he did it. And go. He was trying to say one thing before he fell, so if he wanted to fall, then wouldn't he have said things then fell or just not said anything?
Yeah,
Or not
He knew that he was gonna fall because he chose this branch specifically out of all of the other ones that look more sturdy.
No, I think that I chose that branch because it was only really fun that he could actually say.
Well, I learned to think that because right where it says your evidence, it also says he hadn't even touched him. The crazy guy just let go. So then that says that he. No, but it just says that he let go. So
I was gonna respond to it. That might not have been what actually happened. He might have partly actually done something. Also, later on in the text, someone might say that he said that he apologized for doing it. He might just be I think he might just be apologizing to try and make Scott feel better.
is selfish.
I disagree. Hold on for a second. There is a part in the text that I'm really curious about right before Sko falls. It's on page 44. Right before Sko falls, he says, I want. But he doesn't get to finish the sentence. What do you think Sko wants there?
Well, I think that when he says, he has been saying this before. I wanted you to do that. I wanted you to say that. He was probably about to say something that there's actually two choices. And why would you say that? But also he could have said, I want to fall. Well, I think there's most likely a choice. He says, I wanted you to say that because he's been doing that this whole time. So I think it's actually kind of like both answers. He's done on purpose, or he might accidentally fall. Because he might fall on purpose because he could have said that I want to fall. He might have said that, and then he probably just let go. He probably did it a little too early. If he was doing it on purpose. But if he wasn't doing it on purpose, he was probably going to say something else. But then he accidentally fell. What do you think, Dominique?
Okay. Well, I think that, I agree with you because, I don't really think that Monk or Skull did it to Skull. I'm sorry for okay. What I'm trying to say is that I agree with Tanima because, I agree with you because, I don't really think that Skull made himself fall or Monk made him fall. I think it was actually the branches because there were slanted. So I actually agree with that. The last sentence, I didn't hear. I forgot what you said, but I heard the last. Well, I know what you said. Anyways, so yeah.
Well, that could be
So I kind of agree with Tasnimo, and yet I disagree with him, and Dominique too, because I agree with him that maybe that Skull would have said, I wanted you to say that, because he was saying that as a pattern throughout the entire story. Everything he does, like when he says I want, it's mostly like either I wanted you to say that or I wanted you to do that. But then if you look at page 44, it shows that Monk really didn't do anything other than reach up, and Sho can't really say, I wanted you to do that when Monk reaches up. So I think it's really that Sho wanted Monk to say that. But I disagree with Dominique and Tasnimo, both of you, because basically, I don't really think it was even the branches that made him fall. I think it was actually Sho. I think Sho made himself fall, but not on purpose. Because, like, for example, if the branches were really going to make him fall, why wait until the end of the book? Because all this time he's been sitting on the branches, perfectly safe, perfectly fine. But then the moment that Monk reaches up, Sho branches fall. I mean, Monk doesn't even touch them. Because it says that in page 44 at the top of the page, Monk said, breathing hard as he reached up and threatened to shake the cradle of slate branches. This shows that Monk really didn't shake the cradle of slate branches yet, but he was about to. So that shows that the Monk's fault is not in this. And it also shows that the branches fall down on this because they can't suddenly fail the moment Monk reaches up to touch them, and he didn't even touch them either. So it's not. So it's the branches' fault. And if you say it was if you say it was Sho's fault, it's not really Sho's fault either because he's trying to say something, I want, but then he gets cut off. So that shows that he wasn't really prepared for his fall, which means that maybe he didn't want to fall on purpose. He also screamed as he fell. So if he really wanted to fall on purpose, he wouldn't start a sentence and then fall off in the middle of it, and then start screaming as he fall down.
He wasn't done.
Hey, Yoni, after Sean.
Okay, so basically, that shows that the student didn't fall on purpose. What I think really happened is that when Monk was reaching up and threatened to shake the branches, I think Sho out of shock might have accidentally let go. So it's not Monk's fault, nor is it Sho's. Sho let go, but not on purpose, is my point of view. Because Monk threatened to shake those dead branches, and Sho knew that could be catastrophic for him because then he would fall. Also on page 43, it says that Monk's face was furious and foolish. So if a person's face is furious and foolish, it probably means that he's so angry, he's not thinking what he's doing. So I think Sho might have realized that, and he's afraid of the threat of Monk. So out of shock, I think he let go and he fell. Because if he really did fall on purpose, he would be prepared for it.
Well, it's
Actually, the branches.
Sean, I actually disagree with you because yes, it was not. You can't really point fingers who did it. But what Tasneem was saying about that, how school kept saying, "Oh, I want you to do this. I want you to do that," but he wasn't really making him do it. Monk was doing it by himself because Sean had no control over Monk at all. And also, I don't really think that Skull jumped fell on his own because in a page in the beginning, it started in the beginning. On page 44. Wait, no, sorry. On page 42. And then you see, on page 42, the beginning of the top, it says that he's seeing Lenny's haircut. So you could tell that the tree was pretty high if you could see the top of somebody's haircut. So why would he fall out the tree if he was gonna hurt himself?
That's So basically, you just pretty much stated my point. You didn't really disagree with me. You kind of reinforced my ideas. Because I said that Monk didn't really fall on purpose. He fell by accident because he accidentally let go after getting shocked by Monk.
Go fell.
Yeah, that's what I said. Show.
Okay, so.
I said that Sho fell because he actually let go after Monk scared him. And I agree with you because he didn't fall on purpose because like you said, if you can see the top of a 7th grader's haircut, that means you're pretty much taller than 6 feet. And if you're taller than 6 feet, that's like falling from about like the height of a slide. And that is not going to do much hurt. And he won't get really out of breath if he falls from that slide. So I think it's really much higher than that. It's much higher than 6 feet. And if it's really higher than 6 feet, really high than 6 feet, well then why would Monk let go, like you said?
Right?
Why got shocked? He just got shocked by Monk.
Remember that it's not a discussion if we're all talking at once, right? So we have to be respectful and know when it's a good time to come in and when it's a good time to step out. Okay?
David.
So I agree with you, Sean, on what you said because it seems to me, and it also links back to my personal experience, and I can use my life to prove your point about him getting shocked and then falling off because of it. Because when I startled, everything in me tenses up, then relaxes, and that could have caused him to let go. It's just like you get startled and then you're not expecting it, and it just happens. You let go, you fall over the ground, and he most likely knew that it was very dangerous to fall from that height, and he would have never let go on purpose because he knew he would have gotten hurt, and I don't know what for any reason why you would want to let go from a tree when you know you get hurt.
Let's pause for a second. And while we're talking about Sco's last words, I want to draw your attention to the ending of the text. So please turn to page 45. It says on page 45, from under the apple tree, Sco, still bent over a little for lack of breath, croaked after them in triumph and misery. I want you to do whatever you're going to do for the whole rest of your life. What do you think, or why do you think Sco croaks these words in triumph and misery?
Well, I think when he says I want, he probably was gonna say this, but he might want to say I want you to do whatever you want to do for the whole rest of your life. He might have said it, but then he fell, and then now that he fell, he's gonna go. He was gonna do the assignments.
I agree with
Finish your thoughts, Azimo? No. You see, we're quick to jump in. We need to remember, take a step back and listen.
But it's like he like when he fell, he was saying I want, but we don't know what he was gonna say. So we could infer that he could have said that he was going to say I want you to do whatever you want us to do for the whole rest of your
I
lives.
agree with Chazio because I think that when he was in a tree, he was going to say what he said at the last page, because like I guess since Mark was coming towards him looking all angry and stuff, I guess he wanted to like he was going to say that and end it so that he doesn't get hurt, and he was panicking, he was scared. He just wanted to make Mom stop bothering him and chasing him, things like that.
We're missing an important point here. I really want you to pay attention to word choice here. The author says that Sco croaks the words that I just read to you in triumph and misery. Those are two strong words and two contrasting, words as well. How can you say this in both triumph and misery? What do you think, Mohammed?
I think that Sco said that triumph and misery is because when he got, I guess he got excluded from the game. Sort of, I guess when he got excluded from the game, right? He sort of got annoyed and mad. So like when he fell off the tree, and on page 44 it said that Monk and when he left, he was, I guess that's what he felt triumphant for. Like they didn't let him play, so he didn't want them to play either. So I guess he was glad that they just quit. And then again, he said misery because he was still in great pain from falling off the tree. Jason? Why would
I agree with you mostly. It's just I think he was more triumphant because he did stop them from playing the game. But I also think he wanted to annoy them, and I think they left because he annoyed them too much. And I believe he's triumphant for annoying them.
What do you think?
Well, I agree with Jason. Because Sco was annoying him, I was fine. So maybe when he had thought to stop him from playing the game, he was triumphant.
I kind of agree with you. I partially disagree because he okay. So I
like he finally stopped him from the game, and like he also you know like made them like go away and stuff like that. But he was kind of in misery because like he probably did not mean to actually like fall, but you know what I mean. Like he wanted to get he wanted the attention, so he's triumphant because he succeeded in getting their attention. But he's in misery because he got hurt while doing it. What do you think, Amani?
Well, I agree completely on what Annie said because he wanted the attention from Monk, which is his triumph, which he got, but also he fell, which is a misery because he didn't plan to actually fall off the street or trying to get triumph.
I agree with you, Amani, Jade, and Amis, because he fell off the tree, which is, if you fall off a tree, you would feel sad because you're in pain right now. So that's part of the misery. But he's feeling triumphant because he finally got their attention, which he wanted all along, since they excluded him from the game.
Let's just end on that note right there, and I'd like for you to get your pencil out. And it's time for us to reflect on our initial response to the focus question. So I want you to think about whether or not your answer has changed after our discussion. Make sure that you're writing down your new answer with evidence from the text. If your answer remained the same, you need to explain why I did it. And please make sure that you add evidence in the text to support your original answer.